I replied a message from my ex even knowing my husband would feel terrible about it. Hi. We've been together 3 years and married just 1. When we just met we were both coming out from toxic and really long relationships, so in a certain way we helped each other to move on, and now we're happily married. The thing is I've always told him I wasn't happy with the way I ended up my relationship with this certain ex I grew up with. I am a person who always need closure, and even I hadn't been in touch with this man for 2 years by the time I started dating my husband, I would still have these dreams about him saying sorry and giving me a tight hug and saying everything is okay. I was an idiot. Continue with your life. I was so happy in these dreams when I wake up a feeling of despair and sadness invaded me, and also I felt guilty seeing my husband comfortably sleeping by my side. Why did I have these dreams if I finally was with the love of my life? I told my husband about these dreams and he said I was probably missing my ex, since I had a lot of sh*t in common with him, and he, on the other side, would never even touch a book. I'm a reader and he prefers video games, just to give an example of how different we are. He asked me if I was happy in our marriage, and if not he didn't want me to stay with him anymore. It was hard to make him understand I loved him and that I just missed the type of connection I had with my ex. Yes, we had a lot in common, but we were terrible as a couple. But I told him I would never change the type of connection we built together since we started dating, having anything in common but the love and commitment we both wanted in a long-term relationship. He agreed on this, but stated he never felt that need of wanting to talk with an ex again, so he just didn't understand me and thought I secretly missed that relationship cause I wasn't happy with him. Today, after 5 years, my ex finally contacted me by IG Messenger stating he was shocked when he found out I got married and he just wanted to say hello cause he wanted to know how I was doing. My heart exploded, my legs were shaking, I even had a headache. I had the opportunity to just block him, but instead I said hi. We started talking like old friends, anything out of the limits of the respect for my husband. I felt beyond happy knowing about his life, talking about songs we'd listened, movies we'd watched and books we'd read. I missed this so hard. But at the same time I couldn't stop thinking about my husband. At the end my ex said bye, that he didn't want to cause me trouble, just wanted to say hi, and that all this thing of reaching out after all this time was due to his own process of therapy. He just wanted to feel that genuine connection we used to have again and say sorry. I was crying. Even told me that phrase I always dreamed about, I was an idiot and I'm sorry, I love you. I told him it was okay, that it doesn't matter anymore. I said bye and wished him well, didn't say I love you back, but the fact is that I will always love him. He was my first love and we walked together the path of growing up from teenagers to young adults. Blocked him. Suddenly I realized how I deeply love my husband when he showed up at the door after 12 hours of hard working and felt guilty. I am just not able to say anything to him, I'm afraid I cause him pain. But all this experience brought me peace of mind about finally getting a closure and knowing that type of connection I had with my ex means nothing by the fact my husband works every day by my side to keep this relationship working even we are so different. I know he will ask me to read the conversation, but he will finally see what I was talking about when I say I missed having conversations of topics he doesn't enjoy, having exactly the same sense of humor. My ex and I used lots of local jokes and things he wouldn't understand. I don't want him to compare himself. Cause he's caring, loving and incredible at his own way. Please, help me out. Should I tell him or I just continue with my life finally feeling sure I'm in the right place? I feel peace and guilty at the same intensity, how is that possible? Comment. You need to own what you've done here. Please don't try and hide it. This is the type of thing that will come back to haunt you years later, and has the potential for devastating consequences to a family unit. Share your correspondence with him. Discuss your feelings. Make sure you work through why you continued through with this conversation. Show that you've blocked the ex and discuss whether any boundaries are necessary in the future. Up. If there's nothing incriminating on the messages with your ex, Don't be afraid to share the communication with your husband. Tell him you feel like you finally got closure and assure him you are where you want to be. However, if you think he has an insecurity that would cause more harm than good, consider deleting the messages and let it go. You set boundaries, kept the communication relatively short, and said your permanent goodbye. You didn't violate your marital boundary. Personally, your relationship should be healthy enough for you to share the communication with your husband. Next story 2. My boyfriend is having second thoughts/commitment issues. I'm so torn on what to do in this situation. We have only been dating for about 3 months and this is the second time there has been turmoil like this. He was pursuing me for a little over a month and everything was going perfectly. We aligned on our values and life goals, had fun together, everything seemed great. He acknowledged he was coming on very strong and I agreed and asked him to back it off a little and he did. After about a month I said yes to making things official since neither of us were seeing other people anyways. He made it clear after only 2 dates that he wasn't seeing anyone else, just to let me know where he stood, not because he expected me to say anything or be in the same place he is. Everything was going great, he was the most supportive, thoughtful, and understanding person I have ever been with. I have never felt this strongly about anyone I've dated. He has every quality I am looking for in a partner, except this hiccup, and I've had multiple multi-year relationships. A week after we made it official and he abruptly ends things. He said his on and off ex-GF, whom he said things were done with for good when we talked about it before, reached out and he's having second thoughts. He said he didn't know if he would date her or what he was going to do, but the fact that he was having second thoughts wasn't fair to me, so he ended things. He apologized for dragging me into this and pursuing me so hard when he didn't know he had this blind spot. It sucked and I was mad, but I was also empathetic to his situation because of some of the nuance and that he didn't do anything behind my back, and given the situation, if he was having second thoughts about her, I didn't want to be in the picture. We hadn't talked at all since that, and a week later I got a long text saying he made a huge mistake and he let the past cloud his judgment, and he would like me to hear him out and give him a second chance. He spent a lot of the week in therapy and working through a bunch of stuff. I agreed to hear him out, and after him apologizing and answering questions for a few hours, I agreed to one date. Even though the situation sucked, he never lied to me and I understood why he handled it the way he did. From there we started dating again and working to rebuild trust. He asked me to be his GF again almost immediately, but I told him to slow down and it would take time. He respected that and waited for me to bring it up a month later. We were having a blast hanging out, he always seemed so smitten around me and just excited, as was I. We talked about having a family one day, where we would want to live, all kinds of stuff, and we truly aligned on everything. He said he had never had a relationship like this and was so sure about me. I finally agreed to being his GF again after about a month and he was overjoyed. A few days later he seemed to get distant, but he is working like 70-80th hour work weeks right now, which is very unusual, and he's under a lot of stress, so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. He bailed on our plans for the next weekend, so I finally asked if everything was okay and he said he was just feeling overwhelmed and he's never had this feeling before, not sure if it's the relationship or work or what. I tried to be supportive but he just seemed stressed and asked for space. We talked a couple days later and he said he finally had some time to think about his feelings some more and he's having second thoughts about us, but he doesn't know why because everything was going so well. He said he's never had commitment issues before, so he doesn't know what's going on, but was hoping to figure it out in therapy. He asked for more space. We used to see each other multiple times a week and call every day, and we haven't seen each other in a week, and only called maybe twice. I want to stay together and think this could really be something, but I also deserve someone who can communicate their feelings with me. I'm also empathetic because he said he has been so busy at work he hasn't even had time to try to process his emotions. This week is also the anniversary of his dad's death, who passed away a few years ago. I've been a wreck all week and have pretty much been processing this as a breakup. I really hope he decides he wants to work through this with me, but I also feel powerless because there isn't much I can do if I want to try and make this work. What do I do? Comment. It sounds like he likes the drama and adrenaline of chasing you, but doesn't actually like being with you. He's not ready to be in a relationship with anyone. You need to protect your heart and get out of this on/off game he's playing. End this now. He will keep doing this. If you want to test this, end the relationship, and I guarantee you he will attempt to revive it by reverting back to being attentive and engaged. Promise.